Are you considering a move to Georgia? Wondering if the houses are different and if the process is different? Well, that's what I was wondering too. Hello, my name is Jennifer Lewis and I am a Georgia transplant. I am a realtor in both California and in Georgia, and let me share with you 10 things that I've found that are different for the buying process and homes here in Georgia. If you like what you hear, I'd love for you to subscribe so you can hear more from me and tell me what you think. Let's start with number one. Number one actually is probably one of the most concerning if you're from California because you're really not used to it, which is Georgia is a buyer beware state. What that means is the burden of inspection and research falls on the buyer. In California, it is very common for the seller to provide a title report, HOA documents, very detailed questionnaires. In Georgia, you need to do the research on your own. You would need to find HOA docs, title docs, questionnaires, do all of your own inspections. It very much falls on the buyer to do their own research and figure things out. Sometimes you can ask the seller questions, but I can tell you it is a buyer beware state. Very different from California, where the seller is obligated to share with you every material fact that they can. Number two is that the state of Georgia is actually an attorney state, whereas California is what we call an escrow state. Attorney is you walk in, you sign your mortgage documents, and you fund and close your loan there at the attorney's office all in one day. Whereas in California, traditionally you'll sign 3 days before, they'll clear conditions, you fund, and your receipt of homeownership is when you record the deed or the deed confirmation recording. And that's when you're technically the owner of your new home in California. However, in Georgia, you're going to go in and you're going to sign your docs and close all in the same day. It can make it pretty difficult for a seller because what happens if the buyer defaults or the buyer doesn't show up and you've packed up your whole home and they don't show up? So I see a lot of rent backs. I also recommend it for my sellers to ensure that they actually close with no hiccups. Number three is septic tanks. In the foothills of California and a lot of the properties with over an acre, you will find they have septic tanks. It's fairly common that they have septic tanks, so that's not a surprise. However, in a subdivision, that's not the norm. Usually you have sewer and it's in and connected to the public sewer. You pay your monthly bill. Your main concern is the sewer line to the street. Here in Georgia, I've actually found that there are quite a few subdivisions with septic tanks, which was surprising to me. So maintenance, replacement costs, all of those things are quite a bit different than just having city sewer. So if you're not familiar with septic and your home is on septic or you like a home with septic, make sure you get very familiar with the maintenance and replacement costs, etc. So don't just overlook that. Number 4 and 5 have to do with our weather here. Number 4 is retention ponds. We get a lot of water here in Georgia, and the newer subdivisions have a specific area that's designated to water runoff. It's a water collection area, essentially. If you are living next to it, you may want to just make yourself aware of what it is and any red flags or anything of that nature. So if you are looking at Google Earth and you see what looks to be a pond, that's called a retention pond, and it is a structural thing to make sure that the water flows to the designated areas, which is actually better. Number 5 is shake or comp shingle roofs. In California, we have a lot of tile and cement roofs. Those are 40 to 50 years they last. Here in Georgia, a comp shingle roof may last 8 to 10 years with the hail and wind damage that we often see. At first, I didn't realize the weather, and I imagined a tile flying off a roof and some of the wind and the weather that we get here, and then I realized why we're doing comp shingle roofs. Also, on comp shingle roofs, you should plan on replacing them every 8 to 10 years, and sometimes you can get them claimed under insurance under wind and hail damage and get a new roof. So that's also another option. That is a more frequent maintenance item than a tile roof or a cement roof that lasts 40 to 50 years. Number 6 is brick siding. We have a lot of homes here that are made out of brick. Again, due to the weather, we have homes that are 3-sided or 2-sided brick. Some of them have wood siding in certain areas, the same as California. We do have a few places that have stucco, but primarily you're going to see brick siding. What that does is it's lower maintenance, better for weather resistant. I quite enjoy it. I think it looks lovely, and it is certainly resistant to weather. 7 and 8 are actually very tied together. 7 has to do with basements. Here in Georgia, we have a lot of basements, and that again is tied to the weather. Originally, I believe that people were concerned that if we ever had a big catastrophic weather event, we needed to go into basements. That's what basements are for. I can tell you that we haven't really had that here in my short time here, but I wanted to make sure and mention that's why they have basements. A lot of basements at this point have turned into entertainment areas. We've made ours a media area or a place for the teens and kids to go hang out. But along with basements comes radon. So when you buy a house, you're going to want to make sure to have a radon test. This area is known to have radon. It is cancer causing. It's a lot like having asbestos in El Dorado Hills. And you just want to make sure you're aware of it. It can be remediated and can be handled as long as you know what's going on with it. So make sure you get one of those tests if you buy a home here in Georgia. Number 9 is a little different with the process. In California, we do a pest inspection that gives you a Section 1 and a Section 2 item. Section 1 items are typically items that need immediate attention, would have to do with dry rot and things that potentially harbor termites. Here in Georgia, we do a pest inspection as well. However, we are just checking to see if there are active termites on the property at all. So it is a little different. Sometimes you can get a pest inspection in California that can be $2,500, $3,500, $6,500 for having dry trim, eaves. It's always in the eaves. It's always around the door frames. It's always in traditional places that see weather. And it's wood, so it's going to have dry rot, which is what harbors termites. In California, it's so dry that they call it a Section 1 item and ask that you clear it before closing. Not all the time, but sometimes. In Georgia, you're just going to get pests, termites, or no termites. That's it. Lastly, in honor of Halloween, I saved it for last, is cemeteries. If you have a concern, a spiritual concern, or just don't want to be anywhere near a cemetery, keep your eyes peeled while you're out looking at homes. I found that you can find a cemetery in a housing tract, house, cemetery, house. And you can drive up, there are tombstones on corners. There are random tombstones in places. So keep your eye out for cemeteries. If that's a sensitive issue for you, make sure that your agent knows, or I know when you call me. It's not like California where you have 5, 10, 20 acres designated to mortuary space and things of that nature. That is not how it is. We do have that here. However, it could be in a subdivision. It could be on the side of the road. There can be tombstones. So keep an eye out for that if you're sensitive to that as well. Well, that's 10 things to help you with your transition to Georgia. I hope that puts your mind at peace. I'm happy to share with you any more as well, or if you have specific questions. I do have very specific knowledge about the differences, and I hope any of these were relevant no matter where you're moving from. My name is Jennifer Lewis. I'm at 470-326-7077, and I am jenniferingeorgia.com. Hope you're well.